low-income housing on the way. Details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news for Wednesday, May 22nd, I am Rakisha St. Louis. A boost to the housing stock in St. John with the planned construction of low-income housing units in the parish. 2 sites have already been located and visits were recently made. Public Relations Officer for the Ministry of Social Development, Housing and Community Empowerment, Delroy Louison, reports.
Parliamentary Representative for the St. John constituency, Honorable Alvin Dabrio, says a low-income housing project is long overdue for his parish. The MP, accompanied by his colleague, Housing Minister, the Honorable Delma Thomas, and officials from the Housing Authority, recently visited 2 sites in 2 different villages for the proposed project. They include Power Park in the Black Bay area and Stony Gut in Guelph St. John. Presently, St. John is the only parish without a housing project, and the MP says this will soon be a thing of the past. According to MP Dabrio, as opposed to having 1 project in the parish, the pie will be sliced, utilizing both areas identified for the units, which will cater to both the northern and southern ends of St. John.
Today is a very happy day for me. It comes after many years, as the Minister for Housing says, of clamoring and fighting so that at least we in St. John's would see the benefit of having a housing scheme, because we are the only parish or constituency that have not been the beneficiary of a housing scheme, so that we have great need for housing in this constituency. So the start of 20 units in Guelph and 10 units in Black Bay for the south of the constituents is a very good start.
According to the parliamentary representative, this is the first phase of the project, and he will be working towards further enhancing the housing stock in the parish.
We are able to at least try to help people do minor repairs and so, but at least at this time we will be able to have a whole house, so some people that really need it would get it. And as I said, this is the first phase. I will not be resting after this until we have at least 100 units in St. John's.
Housing Minister the Honorable Delma Thomas says work will soon begin on the housing project.
The Housing Authority will have to take up from it, so we'll have to give them all the plans and all that, and they already have the money. So money is not an issue. The issue is drawing the plan, getting approval from planning. Those processes may take a little time, not too much of time, because I believe we have to push to get it going forward. As I said sometime before, I'm hoping to see the sword turning ceremony before the end of the year. So I'm hoping that and pushing that everything will happen before the end of the year, and we could see the sword turning ceremony and boots on the ground, so that the people of St. John's can be happy and their parliamentary representative will also be happy, and therefore we will have an ease at the level of the cabinet.
Over 1 million EC dollars has been secured for the project, which will be constructed by the Housing Authority of Grenada. For the National Report, I'm Delroy Louison.
Thank you, Delroy. Grenada's Prime Minister says Caribbean leaders are prepared to take the lead on the politics, economics, and impacts of climate change, taking their concerns into the halls of power, whether in New York, Washington, London, Brussels, Berlin, Moscow, Delhi, or Beijing. In an article published on CNN's website, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell adds that the Caribbean will lead on setting targets that are in line with a safer planet, in line with the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change 1.5 degrees Celsius report published last year and the recently published. For us in the islands, Dr. Mitchell says climate change is indeed an existential threat, and now is the time for cool heads, wise heads to build a better future for this generation and generations to come. The article states that during this year's UN Climate Summit in September, leaders from the Caribbean will be sure to present goals and ideas of how to tackle this crisis. September, his article adds, will be the time for governments to come with a strategy to the UN Climate Summit. This strategy must include a way to peak global emissions by 2020, to avoid overshoot of the 1.5 degrees Celsius target, to reduce emissions by 50% by 2030, and to reach net zero emissions by 2050. Dr. Mitchell says our message to our fellow leaders is simple. Come to New York with a plan to raise your target. This is the National Report. We'll have more news after the break.
The world's debt is 184 trillion US dollars. That's about 86,000 US dollars per person. Join Linda Tessar, the Central Bank of Barbados 2019 Distinguished Visiting Fellow for the 6th edition of the Caribbean Economic Forum, as she helps us understand just how in a world of rising debt, we in the Caribbean can stay afloat. Follow this important live broadcast of the 6th Caribbean Economic Forum on social media and on radio and television in Barbados and across the region. Thursday, May 23rd at 8 p.m., 7 p.m. in Jamaica. Visit www.centralbank.org.bb for more information.
Welcome back. Grenada is participating in the inaugural Caribbean Youth Forum on Drug Use Prevention in Barbados, organized by the Inter-American Drug Abuse Control Commission. The forum is geared towards promoting youth leadership in the drug demand reduction. It engages youth leaders in the 18 to 25 age group in seminars and assignments to strategize measures that can be implemented within schools and communities to reduce drug use. Head of the Drug Control Unit, Dave Alexander, says the forum will be done in 3 phases.
They would be involved primarily to prepare for the major forum in October 2019. So there are a number of assignments that they would have to complete as part of this first phase. Also, they would be divided into various groups, and each group would be headed by a team leader who would be responsible for conducting various aspects of that major forum in October 2019.
Grenada's Youth Ambassador Alternate, Joshua St. Bernard, will collaborate with his colleagues at the end of the 3-day forum to formulate the national project.
The ultimate goal on his return will be to meet with the other team of persons that we would have put together to work on the Grenada leg, which will be Miss Melissa Forrester, Miss Kadina Noel, Mr. Jason Clark, and himself, Mr. Joshua St. Bernard, who will make up a team of 4 persons, both Carriacou Youth Ambassadors and Carriacou Youth Ambassadors alternates, who will then work on an action plan and proposal as it relates to coming up with a project that will address the use of drugs among our young people in Grenada that will then be implemented throughout the state of Grenada.
That was Youth Coordinator Royden B. Harry. The Ministries of Education and Youth Development will lend support to the Grenada team to meet the October deadline for project implementation. Alexander says the project will be low cost, which will require no funding.
It's not a large-scale project. It's something that we just implemented within a few days or a couple of weeks. Okay, low budget, low cost. It's not anything that will involve significant funding. It will be activities that could be conducted, as I said, with very little funding, and in some cases possibly no funding, or within existing projects that are being implemented in the communities.
Finally, Grenada has used the observance of International Day for Biological Diversity on Wednesday to raise awareness on the subject of biodiversity. This day is celebrated under the theme, Our Biodiversity, Our Food, Our Health. Biological diversity is seen as vital for human health and well-being. Minister with responsibility for disaster management and information, Senator the Honorable Dr. Winston Garwe, planted a mangrove tree to show his support for Biological Diversity Flagship Day. Head of the Environment Division in the Ministry of Climate Resilience, Aria St. Louis, who visited popular mangrove area Woburn Lookout, says that she is delighted to also raise awareness on biodiversity in Grenada.
Biological diversity means simply the plants and animals on the planet. The theme for this year centers on biodiversity or food or health. And what they have chosen to highlight is the importance of plants that we eat and animals that we eat and how that affects our health. The more we take care of the plants and animals on the planet and the ecosystems that they belong to, is the better quality and higher nutritional value of the food that we will have putting into our bodies, and from that, building and repair of muscles, mental acuity will all be increased. So what has been recognized and what they wanted to highlight today was the link between biological diversity and the plants and animals that we depend upon for our food security.
Mangroves are now highly recognized to perform specific tasks for the ecosystem.
In addition to the fact that they are important nursery areas for us, for economically important fish species, they also are key in filtering a lot of the land-based pollutants that come off from agricultural practices that are unsustainable, loss of topsoil. All that is collected in the mangrove areas. They're important sinks for carbon, so they help us in the resilience thrust so that the islands can also contribute towards reduction in greenhouse gas emissions.
That story just ended the national report for today, Wednesday, May 22nd. Let's recap the top story. More low-income housing on the way. On behalf of the entire news team here at the Government Information Service, I am Rakisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.
Sylvester and Cinnamon, development goes up, transformation of TAPCC, school upgrade on the NNP, dressing wing of the hospital, almost complete and starting tall. Let us all come together and go the best of Grenada. Let's keep moving, the economy growing. Let's keep moving, construction booming. Let's keep moving, every man is smiling. Let's keep moving, salary receiving, healthcare improving, pension coming. Better condition, NNPD party for the land. Let's keep moving. Show me your colors. Let's keep moving.
Good morning to you, Grenada, Carriacou, and Pidimatic. Once again, it is time for Hard Talk. My name is Sheldon Scott, taking you up until the 12 o'clock hour. I'd like to say a special good morning to all the listeners via the various radio stations and those of you viewing online wherever you are. Those of you that are tuned in to 89.5 CRFM Community Radio on your frequency modulated. Those of you in Brooklyn listening via 94.9 WeiVybz Radio. Good morning to you, Wade. Good morning to the entire WeiVybz Radio family out there in Brooklyn. Also, those of you that are listening in Carriacou via 92.9 FM Sister Isles Radio and the big, the bad CitysoundFM 97.5 broadcasting from River Road in St. George. Yeah. So it is a beautiful Thursday morning on the Isle of Spice. My name's Sheldon Scott. Flying solo this morning again. Yeah, that flew kind of bad. You understand? Yeah, so flying solo this morning again. All right? Nice. Yeah, but we will have a guest. I ain't solo for long. We will have a guest in studio with us this morning. Yeah, we definitely will be having a guest in studio with us this morning. We'll be discussing their constituency and their ministry. Yeah, we shall be discussing constituency matters in the section called Constituency Matters, and we'll also be discussing some of the information in relation to their ministry. You know, usually I have to say who the guest is when the guest arrives. So we will be giving you information in relation to those things in a short while. In the meanwhile, yeah, get yourself in the position. Yeah, just to make sure, huh? Yeah.
You might be the guilty one, causing only confusion.
Remember Spice Mass 2019? It's gonna be amazing.
Look into yourself.
Good morning to all of you on the live this morning. Remember to please like and share the live. I'm seeing Hannah, I'm seeing Brenda, Lenroy, Neil, seeing all of you on the live this morning. Remember to like and share.
Look into yourself. Change, change, change. Check it out. Check it out. Oh, mama, oh. Look into yourself, brother. Hey, Mr. Hidden, don't even grumble.
So remember, this Sunday, it's going to be the General Council of the new National Party. That's going to be taking place at the Boca Secondary School.
Say a prayer.
We're going to have roughly 200 delegates from the different constituencies, all 15 constituencies. We're representative of each of the polling divisions in those constituencies,
And shows no remorse.
along with roughly 200 observers as well.
You got to be the devil from in disguise.
The first section of the General Council will be dealing with internal party matters, finances, etc., etc.
You're blaming everybody for something. What make you so blue?
And the second half will be an open session
So listen up now. Check this
where you will be receiving constituency reports,
in the right way. Check this
and the ministers will also be giving an update as to what is taking place within their individual ministries.
Check yourself. Once today is a new day. Check yourself, sister, check yourself right away. Remember they say no man is an island. Never forget no man stands alone.
See, the people of St. John, things are looking up for you with your housing project.
You gonna
You know that last weekend, I believe it was, the MP, the Honorable Honorable Alvin W.I,
Cause when the table turn, it's a difference.
they visited two potential sites for the construction of the housing project for the people of St. John.
Your lives and do
There's
it.
never been a housing project for St. John,
One day the truth.
so this one is going to be a first. Have to look at the different logistics and what is available,
Somebody
the amount of land that's available, the accessibility of the land, the road network in and out of the area, looking at the ease to be able to connect water, light, and telecommunications, phone lines, internet lines, etc.
check yourself, sister, check.
A lot of people in St. John, they're very, very excited about that one. They're very, very excited and looking forward to that one. You've had housing projects in, you've had housing projects in St. Mark, the Diamond Housing Project and so. I think there's one in Redmond right now. There's the villa in St. Patrick. You have Corinth in St. David, Dumfries in Carriacou.
Before you say a prayer,
In St. George, you have Beaujeu.
neighbor. Every day is a difference.
So everybody's getting a little touch, yeah? And previously in St. Andrew, you've had in Sobeys, and you've also had in Dunfermline.
From in disguise.
So folks, for now the phone lines are open up until roughly about 10 minutes to 11. We'll open the phone lines.
For something, what
Just for you to let us know what's taking place in your constituency,
you never.
what's taking place in your area.
So listen
We're going to be opening the phone lines for the next few minutes.
yourself. And see if you live in the right way. Check yourself, brother, check yourself, I say. Check yourself, sister, check yourself. Once today is a new day. Check yourself, sister, check yourself right away. Remember they say no man is an island.
Also, to let you all know, the finals of the cricket competition. Yeah, the Docks Challenge Trophy that's going to be taking place this weekend.
Come when you go.
And the finals between St. David and St. Andrew Southeast will be taking place at the Malmont Playing Field in St. David.
Cause when
There'll be a closing ceremony with a medal and trophy presentations, yeah? Eats and drinks will also be on sale. We have a caller online. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Scott.
Morning, how are you doing, sir?
Well, sir, I cannot ask for a better day.
All right.
Especially when I have the opportunity, to wake up this morning in an island that we can safely categorize as one of the safest places in the world.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot ask for much more than that from the Most High. The rest of it should be up to us, to make it the best it could be.
Yeah.
Now, when I listen to your the opening songs that you were playing, you make me feel like a snap one is in the making. So I gladly say, call it, bring it on, and let's bury them once and for all. But listen, as I commute through the community of Corinth in St. David's, I'm becoming very jealous when I see the progress that's being made on the housing project in that area. My brother, once again, it shows this government commitment to properly housing our people. But listen to this, Mr. Scott. As a result of that, I start to envision a housing project in the Northwest constituency in St. Andrews. That is after the Cowpen Big Yard. So we can now link Granlet with such project. Mr. Scott, remember I said that I envision. So I don't want people going to Mr. Thomas and say, well, listen, look at what this man saying. Now, my other point here is that to those that criticize the Imani program, I want to know what they have to say about the 11 persons that just graduated from SGU.
No,
I
hold
want to
on.
know what they have to say about the over 10 million in scholarships.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
But hold, you just made a mistake there, because it's 21, not 11.
Well,
No, I know where you got that information from. They made a mistake.
Okay.
They counted only the people who were there to receive their certificate from the ministry, but it's 21, not 11. They underestimated by 10.
All right.
So you can take it from there again.
Where I got the information from?
I know where you get it. I know it's not your fault.
Okay, my brother. Yeah.
But go ahead.
The over 10 million in scholarship to local Grenadians attending SGU, isn't that money well spent? Most of these students would not have been able to attend SGU because of the cost. But as a result of this government commitment to young people, they have made us all proud by graduating with honors. Last but not least, Mr. Scott, I find it taking some NDC supporters a very long time before they realize game is over. They are not even the legitimate opposition anymore. They are becoming a non-factor very fast by continuing to destroy themselves from within by different factions jockeying for position. Mr. Scott, we don't want any group to be telling us what is wrong about the country. We want them to provide us with solutions that's whereby we can fix what they see as being wrong. We know what is wrong. We know where we have to go. So we don't want that talk no more. The talk we want to hear is one that is solution-oriented. Mr. Scott, I trust you will all have a pleasant day. And in the Northwest constituency in St. Andrews, we are well on our way. We are fully prepared for Sunday.
Before, my brother,
day,
hello?
Yes, sir.
Before you leave, though, we had a very interesting interview yesterday with the youth and president of the New National Party.
I listened to the whole thing.
Man, what you thought?
Well, I'm telling you, this gentleman who I know from since his athletic days, this man has evolved to such a good human being. I am just proud to know that, in the big parish, we continue to give to this country human beings with exceptional qualities and honesty. We have 4 lovely women candidates, and now we have a senator. We have a lot more. Now, Mr. Scott, did you receive this thing with Django?
Yes, I did. I saw it.
Oh my God, Mr. Scott, let me leave that alone.
Listen, I have it and I will not even play it on air. I don't think it's even fair to the child and to the family to play that on air.
Well,
but listen, there's the contrast, because you look
I don't understand how you could be a main activist for the NDC. You are a potential future candidate. I don't know how you could lose it, and make a mistake like that. This is embarrassment of the highest level,
But mistake? You think it's a mistake?
Oh.
You think that's a mistake? The man made the statement and even said before he made the statement he's wondering if that's right for radio. So in his mind, he knew that he shouldn't say that on radio. So there's no excusing.
I'm telling you, this is very distasteful and very disrespectful coming from an NDC activist. How does this man politically can go out there, and get people to confine him in some of their personal situations? You cannot do that. Anyway, brother, I trust you will all have a pleasant day.
Do enjoy the rest of yours.
Thank you.
Good morning, 440-7377. And for those of you outside of Grenada who want to call into Hard Talk, you can call 347-329-3101, right? So 347-329-3101. Yeah, we had a very interesting, thought-provoking interview with the president of the New National Party, UTAM, yesterday. And as you know, the UTAM itself, they'll be having their a function on Saturday. Yeah, they will be having a function on Saturday. This is a busy weekend for the New National Party, really. You have the UTAM. They will be having their leadership conference, where they're going to be bringing all the young folks from different constituencies together and focusing on personal development, leadership, yeah, developing the new generation of leaders for the New National Party. Yeah, so they're going to be doing that on Saturday. It's a closed thing. It's not open to everybody. It's a closed session, but just letting you know that it is taking place. Also, the finals of the cricket competition taking place on Saturday. And then on Sunday, the General Council. Let's go to the phone line.
Yeah, good morning, Sheldon.
Morning.
Brother Sheldon, I want to say congratulations to the young man yesterday, Brother Cadet. I listened to that man, the interview with the senator yesterday. I very interesting to hear this young man speak. And I could say, this is a young man for the future, and every other young person in Grenada could to look up to that young man. This is a young man of respect, discipline, and he have a future in front of him. All right? Because I want to say congratulations to him as the president of the NNP Youth Arm. I know that people who he led, they will follow after his footsteps. And we have people of qualities, people that people could look up to, and people who respect others. And we say things that is right to develop people, nothing that could destroy. All right? I would say congratulations to the young man, Brother Cadet, Senator Cadet, for the wonderful interview that he had with you yesterday. And Brother Shelley, I want to say something again. We NMP supporters, we respect others, we love people. And when something is not right or not good to say it, we don't say it. We say things that will help develop people and to bring people to the right path, not to destroy and not to pull down. So I want to say congratulations to the senator yesterday that you had an interview with, that he spoke wonderfully, and I know his mother and the NMP people is proud of that young man because he's a leader, and a leader for the future that other young people could take example from. So Brother Devon, Brother Sheldon, you have a wonderful day. God bless you.
All right, thank you. And my brother, hello.
Hello.
Yeah, man. I find you're going and you talk about the Women's Health Fair on Saturday. What kind of thing is that?
Hello?
I find you're going and you speak about the Women's Health Fair on Saturday.
Would you let?
You want, man, warm to you, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have it. I can call Shaq this morning and I give it to her forget. Okay, let me read out, okay?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Yeah. Saturday, the 25th May 2019 at 9 a.m. Free Women Health Fair at Busejo Multipurpose Center. This health fair directed towards addressing issues affecting women health. An informative session will be led by Dr. Carol McIntosh, a physician with over 30 years experience in the field of obstetrics and oncology. All tests and screening will be done on site, which follow when results are available. Information session, free wellness check, free pap smear test, free dental check, free blood pressure check, free breast examination check. This health fair organized by the St. George Northwest Constituency Office. So, Brother Sheldon, this is information I have.
All right, thank you very much, bro.
I can't share this money. I'll give it all. I just put down the sleeping time.
All right, bro. Thanks.
Okay, brother.
Yes, folks. So for those of you in, wherever you are, though, yeah, it doesn't just necessarily have to be for people of the constituency. There's that free women's health care fair that's going to be taking place there at the Bujeju playing field this Saturday from 9 a.m. I believe that's the time. Yeah, 9 a.m. Let me just make sure I do have it here somewhere from 9 a.m. And they're going to be doing things like blood tests. You can do your pap smear. You have dental checks. So if you want to do something on your teeth and so, you can do that. And breast examinations. As we know, breast cancer remains a worrying something to our female population worldwide, not just here in Grenada, but worldwide. So they're going to have the opportunity to check that out. Meanwhile, remember the phone lines are open for a short while again. 440-7377. That's 440-7377. And 347-329-3101. You can call and get on to the inside. All right? Nice. Beautiful. Yeah, I wonder why. Hey, Mr. West, I wonder where you're coming with this here.
Don't watch me.
I said at 11, we'll be having a guest in studio with us.
Don't watch me so. Afraid your eyes. What did what happened to you? You look good. You have a good booty. Move it, man. Come on. Hey! Turn it back, girl. Don't hold it back. Shake it back, girl. Don't hold it back. Wind it back, girl. Don't hold it back. Yo. Roll it back, girl. Don't hold it back. Shake it back, girl. Don't hold it back. Move it back, girl. Don't hold it back. Yo.
Remember, folks, we're within a few days of the hurricane season as well. Start your preparations. It's not too early to put your hurricane kit in place and your hurricane family plan, your business plan. Do you wait until you hear that there's a tropical disturbance heading our direction and you shout, "Head for the hills," and then you just start to do all sort of craziness? Or do you have a plan in place for 48 hours before, 72 hours before, 24 hours before projected landfall of a tropical system? Yeah, what do you do 3 days before? It's not like these things just happen on the spot and you just have it like bam, one time. You have enough notice. So what do you as a family or as a business do 3 days before? What do you do 2 days before? And what do you do 24 hours before potential landfall of a tropical system, yeah? One of the additional features you will be hearing on Hard Talk. We have already spoken to them and they have agreed to come in on Wednesdays every other week or so, I believe it was. So we should be having Miss Oslyn Crosby coming in with us from time to time to share some information on behalf of NADMA.
Say she go in the gym, 'cause she want to get more trim.
So remember, this Saturday from 9 a.m. it's going to be a health fair at the Bujeju playing field. You have cricket up at Malmont this Saturday as well. And on Sunday, you have the General Council of the New National Party. Hey, this Saturday and Sunday as well, the Grenada Gun and Rifle Association, they have their regional competition. So on Saturday, they are going to be at Camp Raymond in Pearls. I think they have people coming in from St. Lucia. They have people coming in from St. Lucia, Guyana, Trinidad, and Barbados, I think. So that will be taking place. The marksman competition. And then they'll be at Pitiyatang on Sunday. So those of you in the media, because we have some media friends that listen to the program, yeah, please take note.
She know that can
you can contact Mr. Dwayne Noel for more information on it.
And she want to shake she booty.
9 minutes to the hour of 11 o'clock. At 11, we will be having a guest in studio with us, so we kind of on standby. Yeah, this week we've had so much positive news coming out about our young people. Yeah, because remember just last week, you had 21. Yeah, that report is wrong. They count only the people that was in the room there, but it's 21 because there are some young men as well. You only saw the young ladies there, but there are some young men who graduated from the St. George University with degrees, bachelor's degrees in business, biology, nursing, those sort of fields. And here's the greatest. These are young people who are part of the Imani program. And you also, in addition to that, you've got young people who are part, I didn't say who were part, who are part of the Imani program in the further education component of the program, who are now in China studying towards a degree. Yeah, Imani trainees. They're part of the Imani and they've gone to China to study towards a degree. And there are those that are in Cuba studying towards a degree, those that are in Texas studying towards a degree, Manhattan studying towards a degree. People who are part and parcel of the Imani program. Yeah? And in addition to that, you heard last week, government spent $9.5 million providing scholarships for other young persons. $9.5 million is not any joke money, you know. That's serious cash you're talking about there. That the government of Grenada is providing to build the capacity of our nation's youth. And they're doing pretty well. Yeah, you're seeing them graduating with honors. So our young people are moving forward. You had yesterday in our discussion with Senator Cadet, you heard him speaking about WeiVybz. Because many times we have the perception and the conception there that since you're going to school, there's this thing that's placed in your mind, not just here in Grenada, but throughout the Caribbean and throughout many countries, that you go to school and you get out to find a job. Not that you become a creator of jobs, not that you set up your own business. So I was telling someone only last night, they're saying they're looking for a job. I say, you're looking for a job, but why don't you think about creating jobs for people? Because here it is, you would like to go and you want to go and work for somebody, maybe for $1,500 or $2,000, because you don't have the academic level. Whereas you can be assisted to start your own small business. And if you start your own small business and it becomes successful with proper guidance, you could be making 4, 5, even 10 times that amount. Yeah? There needs to be that change in the way people think. But remember what Senator Cadet was saying yesterday. Worldwide, there is that continuous issue where 9 out of 10 startups fail. Yeah. And that's an international thing. That's not just a Grenada thing. So, government continues to work along with our nation's young people. And you see individuals online trying to twist discussions into all direction, doing all sorts of putting up things from 4 and 5 years ago and trying to make it look like it's something that just happened, or putting up things that are totally false, no truth to them at all, creating stories. 1 minute you're hearing that SVG Air is pulling out of Carriacou. Next minute you hear is a different story when the manager of SVG Air speaks. They say, no, that is not true. We're not pulling out of Carriacou. It's craziness. So it's difficult, and we're having a discussion. And strange enough, the minister did say just earlier before that they were in discussions. In fact, the following Thursday, they were due to have a meeting in relation to that issue. Then you saw this story being circulated falsely about this is the state at the St. David's Catholic Secondary School, and the school is falling apart, and students are having classes out by the road in the hot sun, and all this sort of nonsense. Only to find out that was a story from 5 years ago, and the situation was fixed. In fact, it was fixed so good that they don't even looking at the new school yet. Yeah? The principal now having to come out where he should have been focusing on his students and have to take the time now to come out and say that is not true. Where he could have been focusing. He have students doing CXE right now that he's tutoring, that he's preparing. He's a busy man. But because some idle people decided to try and create something, I think is, how do you think that you're going to do this and not be found out? Yeah? Always trying to guide, and you won't hear. I'm going to guarantee you that you will not hear these positive stories about our young people, or you will not hear the corrections to these lies that are being put out by NDC activists out there. You will not hear it on the NDC programs. You will not hear about $9.5 million in scholarships to young people. You won't hear that on their programs. And I want you to listen to their programs because I want you to see for yourself that you won't hear it there. You won't see them congratulating government on that. You won't see them congratulating government on the Imani program. I often hear them speaking about Imani and how they came in with a program that was vastly superior to the Imani. Absolute nonsense. Because oftentimes we speak about the Imani program and we fail to remember the GTEP program. I should have worn my GTEP jersey today. And my GTEP polo shirt today. The GTEP program was providing the same qualification. That's why when they came in, they scrapped the GTEP program, they took the GTEP and inserted it into their program, which they call the G-UP. They didn't go too far from what GTEP was. Because GTEP was the avenue to provide the certification, especially in skills training at skill centers throughout the island. And we're speaking of places like Boca Secondary and other schools around the island. So there were skill training centers that were set up through the GTEP program back in 2007 into 2008. And the program was launched in 2008 and active at the point in time that the NDC administration came in and scrapped the program. And after they scrapped the program, they used the same bones of the program to create things like the NTA and so on, and then come to give you the impression that that is the idea. That's what they did. Yeah? That is what they did. 440-7377. We have a couple minutes remaining before our guest arrives.
Ooh, yeah. I am stuck between a rock and a hard place in this modern time. God gave us a gift, we brain and we cranium, still He gave us a mind. Think.
Hey, good morning to you, Carol, and the staff out there at Paddy's Enterprises in Carriacou. Folks, remember to like and share.
People that I know.
Nisha, good morning to you and Jay.
Living in the dust because they would see it on.
Pele, good morning to you. Linda, Imelda, Francois, good morning, my dear.
When instead they could be uplifting a sister for life progression. It is so hard. Now when a man turn a big man and still didn't grow.
Morning to you, Jen.
But the reason
no, I'll be seeing you on Sunday.
Gossip is because their mind is poor. So I say, poor mind will gossip. Illiteracy, simple mind, talk about places that they could never be. Ordinary mind, talk about events and personalities, but wouldn't mind speak about ideas, and great mind speaks philosophy. The mind is such a spiritual force, will make you do what's right. And for sure, my friends, you are in control. So
folks, also to let you know, we will have a guest in studio with us tomorrow as well.
Life is how you make it, so be honored.
You know, he doesn't say who it is until when they arrive, eh?
State of idleness, not making your mind simple. Now all you should know, your mind is the center of your universe. A bad thing to waste, yes man, in all different sizes. And in your head it was placed to uplift and elevate those around me with tremendous grace. Positive is always the way to go. I want to please stay away from this, because I say poor mind will gossip. Illiteracy, simple mind, talk about places that they could never be. Ordinary mind, speak about events and personalities, but wouldn't mind speak about ideas, and great mind speaks philosophy. Instead of vision, a lot of people live in dreams and love to expatiate. They love to talk about man-made creation, so their life is on weight. Most of their thoughts is based on fiction and not reality. So I wrote this song to let them know they must change their mentality. You spend all your time with your mind being carnal and does not have a clue. Creative getting a sense of hopelessness and still don't believe it's true. You really don't know how to uplift your standard. Man, only wasting time. I know the reason for that, my friends. Ordinary mind. Oh, mine will gossip. Illiteracy.
Yeah, folks, we're still taking your calls up until our guest arrives.
That they could never be.
Now it goes sometimes when you're a minister.
Talk about events.
Your meetings sometimes go over.
But wouldn't mind speak about ideas. A great mind speaks philosophy. I've tried my best.
We'd just like to say,
to be good.
We wish the best. Well, I don't like to say good luck, because when it comes to exams, I always find that's based on hard work and not luck, yeah?
Something needs to be done. I will get up.
But wish all the best to the students who are right now doing their CXC examinations.
So hard,
as we know, the intensity is going to increase as we go into the month of June. Some of the exams have already started.
There would be more fun.
But the intensity is going to increase as we go into the month of June.
For us to make progress, we have to stop bickering, make it fast.
It has been a difficult school year.
Doesn't matter. Intelligent men must think. But you could
We're hoping that the next school year will not be as challenging, yeah?
the horse to drink. So I say, poor mind will gossip. Illiteracy, simple mind. Talk about places that they could never be. Ordinary mind. Talk about events and personalities. But good mind speak about ideas. Great mind speaks philosophy. Education could never be the key. Mighty sparrow, sing education. Education is the key, universally. All man Jack agree, but it's only me that ain't like that philosophy. You see, I believe one can learn a skill and do damn well in the life still. Especially in this modern days, education is not without good character and shrewd ways. We have some schoolgirls in this country, how to prove education is the key. But if education was the key, they would have taken their blinking schoolwork seriously and aspire to be like Dr. Doe or Cheetah Jay-Z. Instead of flaunting the promised land, trying to be Kim Kardashian. Man after a scene, school bag making pillow and Suzuki. Nobody could convince me that education is the key. So if you see a school picnic and BBC, she go in and party. Tell she for me, education is not the key. And if you spot a school tie on a bus going for Julie, just say, sweetie, education is not the key. Education. Maybe I have it wrong, but the key can be education. Well, I don't know, man, I don't know why this stupid song playing on the radio station, Sparrow telling we quite insultingly, without CXC, we stand a chance in society. But I know for sure book make after sense, and subjects not intelligence. We have so much scholars in this place, but most of what they learn just sitting there going to waste. Still them school girls vehemently want to prove education is the key. If that is the key for every door, they would not be doing yoga in Escudo. They'll work diligently to save themselves and their family, instead of posing on BlackBerry, spreading legs and wings that education is the key. So if you see a young lady and she teacher in Galaxy, tell she for me, education is not the key. They on the beach, but they not doing physics nor geography. Just say, sweetie, education is not the key. Education. Maybe I have it wrong, but the key can be education.
All right, folks, it's now 7 minutes after the hour of 11 o'clock, and we'd like to say a special, glorious Grenadian good morning to our guest this morning, Dr. the Honorable Clarice Modest Cohen. Good morning to you, Doc.
Well, good morning, and good morning to your listening audience in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, and I'm sure further afield.
Yeah, the lady I like to refer to as the lioness. I have my reasons for that. She's a lioness. Yeah? Anything go up on that side of the West Coast, yeah, you doesn't hear about them again. So Doc, you've been quite busy, and I know it's been an exciting week for you. First of all, I'd like to get into it, the Chelsea Flower Show.
Yes.
Grenada once again getting a gold medal.
Yes.
Yeah.
15 successive years. And I know that commendations, compliments, whatever, are in order for Mrs. John and her team, who have every year consistently come up with quality. Did you see the video?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh my. I don't know if I've seen it. I think they have outdone themselves. I don't know if they've done a better one before. I really don't know, but it is really beautiful.
Every year you look at this and you think they can't do better than that. And they just surpass it the following
They've
year.
just surpassed. It's unbelievable. I just came from a meeting before coming here, and I was discussing with advisor and chairperson of GTA, how we can make more out of these wins. Because flowers are beautiful in their own right, and people love it and they are interested. And for the tourism sector and as a country as a whole, how can we use that? And I don't think we have fully utilized the opportunities that these wins would have brought to us. So this is definitely under heavy discussions at this time. I am really happy to see that when the Prince came a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I've lost a little track of the time.
Well, sometime this year, yeah.
Yeah, earlier this year.
But just
few
weeks. It looks like a long time, but it was a few weeks. Yeah.
That in the Parliament building where, some of the event took place, the tours and so, that our floral arrangements took a very impressive position within the whole expo that was done for him and the Duchess. And I think that is the direction we have to go, that we have to utilize our flowers in everything, but even more to do more gardens. And we have seen an increase in gardens. Not enough for the beauty of what we have, but it is a start, because there are flower tours in countries, floral tours, however you call it, in countries, that some of our visitors, whether they are stay over, whether they are on cruise, would like to see what we have in a very organized fashion. And some of our service providers who are involved in tourism, they have done an excellent job. And on our part, we have started some work at Grandetang, some beautification, because there are some plants that are seen in Grenada, only in Grandetang.
Wow.
The forest areas, yeah. They are the flora and the fauna. There's a particular type of frog that is found only there, and of course our famous Mona monkey. So we have a lot of attractions within the Grandetang attraction, and so we have started to look at that and to see how we can use it in its natural habitat, our flowers, or our animals, our life forms, to bring pleasure to bring information, whatever, to locals as well as visitors to our shore. So I think it's a great win, and I hope that I expect between now and next year, a number of activities will take place to utilize that win maybe a little bit more in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique.
Okay. We've been looking at as you mentioned now, using that as a means to advertise and promote Grenada a lot more.
Yes.
And also developing locally different aspects of it, especially like Granatang and so on.
Certainly.
We've been looking at the figures in relation to the number of visitors coming into Grenada. Can you tell us a bit about what has been happening there? Because it seems as though, to me, like during the cruise ship season, every time you look down in town, is a boat or two on the terminal down there. And plus, you're seeing flights. I live down in the Grand Anse area, close to the airport, well, in Frequenty, close to the airport. And I hear the flights coming in and out, in and out, in and out. What has been taking place in relation to stayover, cruise ship visitors, yachts? What has been taking place?
Well, first of all, you did mention seeing a cruise ship or two. There have been times when we've had as many as 4.
Yeah.
Where normally on the new cruise ship terminal, there are 2 that can both, the large ones. Then the old port, well, not the old port, but the other port.
The other port.
The other port. Sometimes accommodate one of the cruise ships when we have more than 2. And sometimes they have to what they call tender house. So they take the little boats and they come in. I know for me it will be scary, and I don't know that this is the best choice. Yeah. But when you have 4, then that is what has to happen. So we've had a few situations in this season where we've had more than 2, and we welcome that. So just to give, for the first quarter, we have our figures, and what we've seen in terms of stayover passengers, we this time, first quarter last year, 2018, we had 55,091 passengers in the first quarter of 2018. This time we have had 58,158 passengers. So this is an increase of 5.5%, and we expect that will grow exponentially as we go into the summer, the summer and the carnival season. You remember last year we had, I think, over 20% increase.
Yeah.
And we expect to see something similar. So our numbers will only grow, certainly. And for the winter, we expect to see an increase. In terms of the cruise passengers, and as I mentioned that this winter season, there were several reports on persons not being able to find accommodation, even in the less frequented hotels or accommodation. The Airbnb was pretty much full over time, and all the hotels were saying that in various periods they could not accommodate. I know I was looking for rooms for some people who had to visit, and we were hard-pressed to find rooms. Airport was trying to find for some technical persons who had to come to do some work, and it was difficult. So it is great news. And we know that there are more rooms under construction at this time, and that there are plans for even more hotel rooms. We have the Kimpton Kawana Bay Resort under construction. Rex has closed down to come out as a new brand. By December, they have promised that they're going to do that. And a lot of work has started there. I am told that they have over 50 new trainees already. Wow. Being trained already to meet with the new demands and the new thrusts that new hotel is going to put on. And we know that investors have purchased property, lands, to start building brands like Six Cent and the Hyatt Regency. So the fact that there is growing interest in Grenada is of great importance. In terms of cruise, we have seen just under 2% increase, and in terms of yachting, we have seen around 3% increase. So we have been doing pretty well in that regard.
You mentioned the yachting. We've seen an increase in the yachting. You know, a few years ago there was a slight decrease for 1 year.
There was.
And it's been back up now.
It has been back up consistently for the last maybe 2-3 years or so, and it continues to grow. So we're working. We have a nautical division that works with the cruise and the yachts, and we're working to make Grenada even more appealing to the yachties.
I don't want to rush off of the yachting because I follow several of the yachty forums that they have on social media. And Grenada always comes in for high recommendations.
Yes.
In relation to the services being offered at the different facilities on island, and even for safety. Because you see there's this site that you see the notifications in relation to crimes and so.
Yes.
And it's terrible up the islands. They're scared of up the islands. They're okay down here in Grenada. So I think all of that, our nature as a people, the way that we interact with people is helping us a lot.
And that makes a lot of difference, because, actually this is one of the first things we are told that makes Grenada attractive. It's the people, the friendliness, the willingness to help and so on. And we must not lose sight of that each one of us has an important role to play in that regard. So the safety is certainly important. We continue to engage the Royal Grenada Police Force and the well, it's not Navy, we call it in Grenada.
The Coast Guard.
The Coast Guard. The Coast Guard. We continue to engage them in terms of preserving safety, in terms of demarcation of certain areas, and we want to work more closely with the MPA. We know that there are shortcomings there, and every stakeholder has been involved in looking at it, in raising the concerns and seeing how we move forward.
And when it comes to the cruise industry, as you said, we have this situation now where sometimes you have the 4 ships in. Is government looking at yet extending on the cruise ship port or providing at least another facility if the numbers that we've seen showing interest in the Southern Caribbean and in particular Grenada?
Yes, government is looking at that. The cruise lines have been asking, and we have had preliminary talks with one service provider who builds cruise ship terminals and so on, and our ports, however you call it, and we continue to engage them. We did raise it with the cruise ship management, the international body, and they are interested in looking at it with us. So the dialogue is on to do that. And if we're going to stay competitive, we have to do that. There are some, even the islands that have a lot more of the terminals where the cruise ships can berth onto.
Yeah.
Because having to come out from the cruise ship into a small boat or so out there in the ocean might be a bit scary for some people. As it certainly would be for me. And also because cruise ships are getting larger, that would be another consideration that we'd have to look at. So it is of importance to us to look at that. We have to look at it very carefully because it is going to involve cost, and we have to look at how we maximize our expenditure. But I'm happy to say too that in our last meeting with the cruise lines, what they said was that they do surveys with their visitors, and they ask them how much they spend and other things, what they like, what they do not like about a destination. And so they concluded that the increase in spend in Grenada had increased by $10 per person.
Wow.
Per visitor, sorry. And seeing that our numbers have increased, I think we're doing more in terms of our offerings, because that is important. Some people may not want to spend at all. But for those who want to spend, they're looking for variety. They're looking at finish. They're also looking at prices. So there are a number of things that we have to fine-tune to ensure that we have it just right, so that more monies can stay in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. This is our ultimate goal, because visitors, it's lovely to have, but the money spending and the trickling down into the economy is very important for us as well.
So that's for the cruise ship visitors. I know the stayover visitors, because you've mentioned the Kimpton Bay, Kimpton Koana facility that's under construction now.
It is definitely under construction.
We see the Silver Sands, while they're open, they're still doing a little bit extra at the top side there.
And they also have on plan 2 more hotels to do. Not
so
of the level.
No, not one.
Well, I was told 2.
Yes,
I could stand corrected, but I'm told 2. Not of the level of Silver Sands, of course, but we want a mix, because there's a mix, a variety of levels of economic and preferences of spending and so on that we must look at. And so I'm glad they put in that mix, so it is not all extreme high end, but a little bit lower, but it will be quality hotels nevertheless.
And we also have the, as you mentioned earlier, the Starfish, or what was the Rex Grenadian, that is under construction there. And then the St. David's facilities?
Yes, the St. David's at 6 cents, and they're thinking about Hyatt Regency as well. Yeah.
For the St. David facility, I think we were told that the lands and everything have already
property
been
has been tied up, yes.
So things
the
on the
payment
move.
Things are definitely on the move.
So my people in St. David don't have to go down in California and try and bomb a ride to go up 11 night for long again. They might be able to do it right in St. David.
Hopefully not. And that is what we want to see, the spread of the tourism industry throughout the island. Sorry. St. David's is a place of choice after St. George because of the distance into the city, the shorter distance. Within 20 minutes from the city, you can be into St. David's. I hope that is not speeding.
No,
is it
not
just
no,
regular driving? 20 minutes.
Regular driving 20 minutes. Yeah.
All right. Within 20 minutes. Or also, it is pretty flat. The road is pretty flat. I mean, as compared to the western side, and as you go over the eastern side, and so it becomes a little bit, the terrain becomes a little bit more of a challenge. So St. David's is the next place of choice, I must say, and a number of investors are looking at it for various things, and we're happy for that. But we're also looking at community tourism that can spread throughout our Tri-Island state. Wherever you are, there should be something in the area of accommodation, whether it's a hotel or whether it's Airbnb. And also, if people are going to go in those areas, they must have things to entertain them. They must be involved in, and they want to. People who go in the communities, they want to be involved. So Fish Friday, they would love to go in Fish Friday and sit down with the locals and eat whatever is there. When we have St. Mark Food Fest at the end of the month, they would love to do that as well. And they would like to interact with groups and organizations that provide certain things that are indigenous to Grenada. The dance, the music, the drum, all of these things. And so,
things like the Saraka, the Telingo dance, and the drum dance, and the other things like that.
That is what we're looking at, definitely so.
I've realized over the past few months, I've been seeing, following you on social media and so as well, and I've seen you visiting some facilities that are being upgraded. I saw you in St. Andrew Southeast at the waterfall. I think it was Mount Carmel waterfall.
We went to Mount Carmel, yes.
Yeah, and some work that has been taking place there. We're seeing a lot of interest in waterfalls now. We see Mount Horn.
There is phenomenal.
I make it yet, but
to be honest with you, somebody sent me a picture. One of my relatives, something on WhatsApp, with a waterfall, and said, "Where is that?" I hadn't a clue, so I had to circulate it and ask people, and it turned out to be the waterfall in Mount Horn, and pretty much it has gone viral in terms of interest. And what I like about it is that locals are going to those areas as much as foreigners. And it's good that it's a win-win situation for us. So we have those waterfalls now on our priority listing for new attractions. We have looked at some guidelines as to what is required in terms of facilities. You must have washroom facilities for people and so on. If they want to dip in the pool, they must be able to change. So all of this we have put together. Also, they want to be entertained, something from the community. So there's no reason why you can't teach, they cannot be taught how to make oil down or any other local dish. They can have their hands in the flour, kneading the flour for roast bake, fry bake, have your bake in the in a pot over the fire and fire below and fire on top. These are the kind of things that people really love. So, Sheldon, I'm really happy for this opportunity to talk to you, but also to say to Grenadans, the good thing about tourism, community tourism, is that you use what you have to give people an experience, an unforgettable experience. So we do not have to reinvent the wheel, but we have to use it in the right way. And so we're working in a few communities now to start that. We've had some consultations with some community groups, and we want to say those consultations will continue. Those who do cultural things, those who do dances, those who do drummings, those who are going to provide local drinks, local food, local cuisine, as we say.
Not babash. We're talking about mushti and thing.
Yeah, well,
not babash. not babash. Some fellas in St. David get excited. Not babash.
Yes, well, I ain't saying yeah, I ain't saying nay. I'll leave that one with them and the law. But I must say that the last time I went to an event and I brought some local wines, and I tell you, it just took center stage. So and then the what do we call it? The hog plum. The hog plum one.
It makes a lovely wine.
It makes a lovely wine. So there are a number of things that our people can get involved with. And yesterday I had the opportunity to visit WeiVybz, which is a business center that has been established in Victoria and St. Mark to service the Western Zone. And I was telling them about these things. There was a lady who said she was mixing drinks, and so I said, try to get it as local as possible so that our people can enjoy what we have, but also visitors can come and sample what you have. And I think there's a lot of opportunity for that. And so it's a great time for community tourism, but we must push it. We have to work together with communities because the ministry and the tourism authority cannot do it by themselves. We would provide guidance, information for you, training for you, but the communities have to get involved.
Minister, we've spoken about yachting, you've spoken about the stayover visitors, you've spoken about the cruise tourism, and now the community tourism. So we're seeing the link here. How the people are coming in, whether by yachts, whether they're flying in, whether they're coming in by the cruise ship. You've also made the link now to the community tourism. How does, instead of it just being grandants, as they say in the song, that the communities, be it in St. Mark, or be it in St. John or wherever, that the communities themselves benefit from it. So there's a serious focus by your ministry on community tourism.
There is a serious focus. We've done some training already in straw work with a number of persons from various parts of the island, because our aim is to have different economic hubs in various parts. For obvious reasons, we have to spread it around. And in some parts of the city, it is really overcrowded with people looking for jobs and so on, coming out from the country areas. And that will always happen. But we must be able to encourage activities that would keep some people in the communities too. So we have started training. We did some woodwork. We had a graduation some months ago, and we're looking at going into the second phase to fine-tune, to do the quality, to look at the variety that would sell and all of that. The first phase was to teach people to use machines, to use their hands, to make craft. Now we're going to the second phase to really go into marketing. And because some of the things we made, the size might not be conducive for somebody to purchase, to take away with them. Most times people look for the smaller items and so all of this fine-tuning we hope to do next time. We train some women to do tie-dye and batik, and some are doing very well. We have a shop at the chocolate factory which is selling some of the produce that were made from the tie-dye and batik, and we continue to train so that we can really fine-tune the variety, the quality, what sells better, and all of that. So it is still a little bit experimental, but we know tie-dye and batik does sell, and we've seen some movement in that direction, but we have to push it. The other thing that we must look at is vending sites for persons. Even the existing vending sites, in a lot of situations, they are not attractive. If a tourist is passing, the condition of some of the little sheds and so, does not attract a visitor. And they could be just as small, they can even be smaller, but they have to look better than they're looking. And this is something I think maybe from central government, various stakeholders, we must look at to provide those facilities for people instead of just leaving it up to people to just put up a shack anywhere or put up a table anywhere and to sell. So we want to see the trickling down effect of the economic benefits from tourism. We need to see it going out into the community. And we are blessed because we have so many locations on this island that tourists would love to go to. We are blessed with talented people. And so we just have to, the thing is, we're also blessed with a really good network of roads. I know the only things we might see when we see the roads would be the potholes. But the reality is those roads take you from point A to point B, pretty much all around the island. And I don't envy the Minister for Infrastructure. I know he has a task on his hands to take care of these roads. I know he's been having difficulties to get asphalt because the quality of the roads are important to us as locals and regular users of the road. But it is raised too by the cruise ships and the people who do tours because it is a deterrent for people to go around. And I know we've been having discussions on it. I know the minister is challenged to get the bitumen and so. Monies have been paid months now and we haven't had it. So we're waiting patiently. We hope that within the next few weeks and months that matter would be resolved and traffic during the carnival season would be enhanced, and certainly by the time we get into October, traffic again during the winter season, which is our peak season, would be enhanced.
Right, Minister, and as you're speaking about traffic and transportation now, I want us to spin a little bit now onto the airlift into Grenada.
Okay.
We've spoken of the facilities, we've spoken about the different ways that people are coming here, but specifically now to look at airlift into Grenada, because over there, the past year especially, I've heard several announcements, one by JetBlue, American Airlines, and so on. Give us a little insights into that. And even especially with just out of Trinidad, you just had Mr. Killer, a Grenadian, the first ever to win the International Soca Monarch. And now I've had one group of 14 people out of Trinidad that are trying to get into Grenada now. One, they booked their flights, they have their flight, they know they're coming. The problem they have now is where they're staying.
There's
another group of 8 that they booked their flight, they know they're coming. The problem is where they're staying.
Accommodation is severely challenged at this time. And let me let you finish and then I'll take up.
I'm finished.
Because one time not so long ago, during Cricket World Cup, I think that was 2007.
2007.
We had, in preparing for that, we had similar challenge. And we encourage people, open your doors to visitors, a little room somewhere, a little apartment somewhere, that we can maximize on the visitorship and, of course, the spend into our country. And a number of Grenadians responded. It was hard work because these locations had to be certified, they had to be visited and so on. But Grenada pulled it off. And this season, I believe this Carnival season coming in, thinking about everything.
Same difference was.
Carnival season coming in, we have this challenge again. And we have a number of accommodation that under the Airbnb that are certified. We have a number to be certified. And so the GTA is placing itself strategically to be able to respond to the requests for certification, because at one time it was, I think, once or twice a year that it was done. Now they can do it periodically as they get requests for it, which is good. And there might be others who have a place who hadn't thought about it. We still have a few weeks to Carnival. So why not look at it? Call us and ask us to inspect. We'll try to comply as soon as possible. And, get registered so we can put you on the Airbnb list. Why not? And, in short time, because some people have nice facilities that don't require a lot of upgrade to do Airbnb. And also there are some people who are just satisfied with coming in a simple abode that is nice and clean and provides the basic amenities to them. So these are things that we can still continue to look at. And as our visitors, the numbers grow, we do have to find a variety of accommodations. And I'm happy to say that we're looking good in terms of the projections for hotel rooms, but we're also looking good in terms of the potential and the possibility for Airbnb. So we can take care of a number of tastes and wishes and likes in terms of accommodation in our country, and we have to take advantage of that opportunity.
Let me ask specifically here now, when it comes to airlift, because we're looking at the people coming in, the stayover visitors that we know is increasing, but JetBlue, what's up with JetBlue and Grenada? They fall in love with us. Six flights now?
They have
As of
6
this month?
flights per week. They have a Wednesday service from the 8th of May. They started that, so that brings us up to 6 flights per week. And also commencing June 11th, between June 11th and July 31st, flights will operate daily. So daily meaning that you'll have 7 flights per week. And that is very good. And I will leave this information with you so that you can remind people, so that they can tell their friends and loved ones abroad that there are more opportunities for booking. Breaking news again is that from August 1st, so went from June 11th to July 31st. Now we're going from 1st of August, because you might have wondered what happens for Carnival. Yeah. From August 1st to September 3rd, JetBlue will operate 2 flights per day. The first will arrive at 11:57, will depart at 12:57, and the second one will arrive at 15:56, which is 3:56, and will depart at 16:57, 4:57. 2 flights per day from August 1st, so just over a month. So people who want to come for summer, that is an opportunity
So
again.
they have no excuse to miss Carnival.
No excuse.
JetBlue have flights. They put on additional flights. They double up.
They have
on
doubled
the
up.
flights
They have doubled up
for the month of August.
Very, very nicely. I must also say that last year, Caribbean Airlines doubled up during the summer for us, and they have promised to do the same as well. Our Prime Minister would have engaged them at the highest level to see what we could do in terms of more airlift into Grenada, into and out of Grenada with Caribbean Airlines, and we are in discussions with them on that as well. But they have agreed to continue what they did last year for us, to provide more airlift into and out of Grenada. So I want to thank those airlines. JetBlue has been a great friend to us, and to thank Caribbean Airlines for what they have done and what they're considering to do with us. And just a week or so ago, American Airlines, we announced a non-stop flight from Charlotte, which is in North Carolina, and it will be effective from the 21st of December. So we've started the whole year. We talk about March, we talk about May, June. We're going down. From the 21st of December, they will be operating daily flights on a Saturday from Charlotte to Grenada. Now, maybe a lot of us are not as familiar with the name Charlotte as, let's say, we're familiar with Miami or New York or some other more commonly named states. But the importance of that is that Charlotte ranks among the top 10 busiest hubs worldwide, internationally. Wow. The top 10. And it also is the second busiest hub for American Airlines in the USA, which means that as a hub which connects people from various parts of the US and maybe from other parts of the world as well, that is a very strategic happening for us, and so we welcome that. There are a number of other airports that connect with that airport in Charlotte, so we expect to see more visitors. We have to look at our marketing. We have to market more in that area now, so that we can have the maximum benefit of that flight coming into Grenada. I must say, it speaks very well of how American Airlines sees us as a destination and the potential for visitors, because an airline doesn't put on an airplane if they don't see the potential for traffic. So, but we have to work with them. We have to ensure that our advertising is effective, and efficient in those areas to ensure that we get the maximum as well.
And especially, what have you been hearing from the airlines? Because I know you speak to the people, the management of these airlines, and so what have you been hearing from American Airlines? What have you been hearing from JetBlue and Caribbean Airlines? What have they been saying to you as Minister of Tourism about Grenada?
Well, in our discussions with them, and we do have an airlift committee, they are generally very pleased with us. JetBlue is pleased. American Airlines, they haven't had to tell us, because if you travel from Miami to Grenada, sometimes you have difficulty getting a flight, and when you get on, it is pretty full. JetBlue, likewise. The stint that Caribbean Airlines did with us last year was very productive. That is why they're willing to do it again with us and to look at other opportunities. So our numbers are growing. We're looking good. The thing about it is that we cannot sit on our laurels. We have to continue to work to advertise Grenada, to keep the name of Grenada clean. And as I said, that there are sometimes those of us who knew Uncle Gary, we remember he said something about washing dirty linen in public. We have to be careful what we say. We have to be careful where we say it and how we say it, because sometimes it might make us look good, saying nasty things about Grenada. Even worse, when these things are unfounded, when they are untruthful, but it doesn't do our Grenada good. So if we love Grenada, we have to be careful what we say, where we say it, and how. Because just one thing on Facebook, that does it for our country. So that is very important too. So I couldn't leave airlift without talking about SVG Air. Just to say that a little hue and cry was raised that they were going to pull out. I must confess that never officially reached me, but I know there are issues. We have been engaging them at the level of the airport, at the level of the airlift committee. They have made proposals which we are looking at. Most of them are not, how shall I say, difficult to do or impossible. Let me put impossible. It would require some policy decisions and so on, but we have the commitment at the highest level to negotiate with them. And so in the very near future, we will have something new happening. They do have to give up the small planes, the 9-seaters, because of issues with the manufacturers of spare parts and that sort of thing. So it is not wise to continue with them. And they're looking at the twin otters, which are the 19-seaters, which I know will make all of us happy, because not all of us are comfortable on the 9-seater. I must say I probably am number one in that. The good thing is that the 9-seater can land in Carriacou, and we are looking at landing lights for airplanes now, because, having to wait on a certain time in the morning or wait on a certain time or to cut off at a certain time in the evening. If we want to develop tourism in Carriacou, if we want more Grenadians to participate in the events that are held in Carriacou and by extension Petit Martinique, we must have better airlift into Carriacou. So we're working on that, and you all have to think of a number of things. There might be emergencies from Carriacou to come onto the mainland that would be better served on a plane than on a vessel, a boat, for example. So we look forward to that. We are committed, our Grenada Tourism Authority and the Ministry of Tourism. We have done visits to Carriacou. Carriacou, just like the Tri-Island nation, has a number of attractions in terms of sight, in terms of the performance, the string bands. I just love it. When I couldn't go to this year's Maroon Festival.
I've learned of a beach in Carriacou, and I'm ashamed as a kayak myself to not know about Anse La Roche. I only knew of that beach today. I'm seeing that one. I always talk about Paradise Beach because that's my beach.
Yes.
But I didn't know about this other one.
Carriacou has a wealth of lovely beaches that we can exploit to the benefit of the people. And so we've started work with them. We have a consultant working with us on it. As a matter of fact, we've unofficially formed a community tourism desk within the Ministry of Tourism. We hadn't done that before, but we feel that we need to have some people who are dedicated, who will go day after day, looking to see what St. David's have, what St. Andrews have in terms of the human resource, the groups, to look at the gaps, to look at what they need, so that community tourism will be an established business in the Ministry of Tourism and by implication, Grenada Tourism Authority. So that is where we're moving now.
Minister, I have a question from one of our online listeners here who, when she heard you speaking about JetBlue, she wanted to rush out and buy a ticket one time. Well, she could sit down and buy it. But she wants to know if the JetBlue flights are only going to be operating from New York, or if it's going to be from Miami or other areas as well, or if it's mainly from
everything
New York.
So far is New York.
Okay.
And outside of that, the other option is with American Airlines through that North Carolina hub.
But that's later
so,
in the year.
that, yes, it starts in December. So that doesn't help there. And also we're looking at some flights with Caribbean Airlines, which is going to come into Grenada from Trinidad one day and come back from New York another day. So they're pretty much New York, Grenada, unfortunately. But we have a dedicated airlift committee led by Mr. Richard Strawn, who have worked unceasingly to improve airlift, because you can't talk tourism if you don't talk airlift. And we have stepped up our game in terms of establishing dialogue with those airlines. And the fact that persons are showing more interest in Grenada, that is contributing significantly to the airlines listening to us. And when they hear about hotel rooms, all of these things are tied in. And so as we launch our community tourism program, I'm sure when they hear that, they know more people will be coming with Airbnb and all of that.
Minister, your ministry actually is one of the ministries providing the most jobs on island, because you look at those who are directly working at the hotel facilities, wherever in south of the island or wherever. It could be Pittians in St. Patrick or wherever. Outside of that, the farmers who are providing foodstuff to these facilities, the fishermen who are providing, the poultry suppliers who are supplying to them, the electricians and the service providers who are providing to them, and the other auxiliary services attached to it. So if you really look at tourism, I wonder if there's another industry that is actually occupying many workers on island right now.
There isn't. When you look at the hotels, when you look at the numbers, between Sandals, Silver Sands, the bigger ones. When you look at Spice Island Beach Resort, it might not have as many rooms, but the thing is, because of the high level, the number of employees to guests, the ratio is very high. And so they all, we have a number of others. I mean, Calabash has been doing extremely well. They are receiving worldwide, world rank. These are the things I'm talking about. Well, they always let me know, but I tell them we do not blow our trumpet enough, because they receive annually and with increasing frequency raving reviews about the quality of the service, the facilities they offer. And some of these hotels upgrade themselves every year without fail. True Blue Bay Resort, I hope nobody gets vexed listening to me, but these are the ones that you see frequently being reviewed on among cinema. Oh yes, they have expanded, and the services like the yoga and all of these things, and our tourism must become more interactive. People like to have these things. We must look at wellness. So our herbal gardens are critical, and I'm saying to my team, we have to go out more, have some village meetings, have some town hall meetings, and to share the shift, the paradigm shift that has taken place within the tourism industry, so that people are not now only looking at beaches, the sand and the sea and the sun and the hotels. They're looking at going out into communities and doing things and interacting with people. They're looking at wellness, the benefits of our cinnamon, the benefits of our dark chocolate, ginger, turmeric, all of these things that are so vital to health that we take for granted. The benefits of yoga. A number of hotels are starting that service now so that people can have their early morning yoga. And I would like to see more people on the beach from the hotels, more tourists exercising on the beach. You
and
know,
they're safe in Grenada because
well, that's the whole thing.
In countries like Jamaica and one or two other territories, you actually have to pay to go on the beach. You're not allowed to just go on any beach. There are some beaches you have to pay a fee to go and use it.
So why
And
not let us look at how locals and visitors can be on the beach exercising and so on. So with the shift to include, it doesn't exclude anything. It doesn't exclude sitting on a nice beach chair with an umbrella or sitting just under the sun getting a tan. It doesn't, in Grand Anse or wherever, it doesn't exclude that. But it is now inclusive of the normal things that we do in the communities, the normal things that we use that we do not value. And I think we have to learn a lot more. I know there are some people who have programs to teach people about local herbs and so. But we must not see it only having medicinal value for ourselves, but as a business that we could get into for the tourism sector in this country.
I see a comment here from one of our online listeners again, Trevor, who is saying that we need to do something about the carriage and renovation of some of the abandoned buildings. He says it's a hub of the island and we need to do something on the carriage.
It is. I know we're running out of time, but I couldn't agree more. Just as is, the carriage is priceless. Because in recent times we've had some activities there that have come out resoundingly well. But of course, private owners must look at their buildings, even if it's a facelift just to paint the front. And you know, only yesterday or the day before, Mrs. Hood and I were talking about that. Just give it a little facelift, make it look good. Keep the carriage clean. We must address the issue of the boats on the carriage and the waste that they throw in the water. And how they operate there. We must address that in the interest of the national good and also in the interest of tourism. And we have to engage more the businesses. You know, when you go to some countries and you see people just, even though there's a cafe within walls, the cafe expands into the sidewalk and there's a little table and people like to just sit down, have a beer, eat something local, a little cassava chip, a little sweet potato chip. And we had to start changing the food around a little bit to healthier food and also locally grown things. And you mentioned earlier, and I know we're jumping from here to there, sometimes we have to do that, the benefits, the spin-off to every sector, the tourism sector. I can speak for that because we are being engaged by potential hoteliers and they're saying, you're telling us to use local foods, locally grown food. We're not having enough. Your farmers depend too much on the rainy season, and that is true. And I want to commend Grenada and the Ministry of Agriculture for looking at some issues with farmers to enhance what they do. Ministry of Agriculture is looking aggressively at larceny, and it's an issue that must be dealt with. You know, you can't plant hundreds of soursop, cantaloupe, all of these things, watermelon,
tomato, cabbage,
just to have all of it rubbed. And you know, one time I heard that some in a field that somebody had done, they were rubbed, and what wasn't taken was just destroyed. And you know, this is very annoying. After people, we know how hard our farmers work, and we have seen a shift in that direction with the hotels willing to purchase more, but the requirements to enable them to do that are not fully in place in terms of consistency, in terms of quality. We have to speak about St. Mark a little bit, and I want to take this opportunity to plug in right there.
Let's go to St. Mark.
I think we could segue very easily into that because there are a group of farmers, the St. Mark Progressive Farmers, and a number of other farmers who operate individually who have stepped up the game in terms of production, producing ginger and other things in quantities for the hotel sector and, of course, for the local sector as well. You know, traditionally we have not done a lot in terms of cauliflower and broccoli and those things, but the progressive farmers had some fields of that, and it did very well with the hotels and with the local market and the other short crops, as we call them, tomatoes and so on. They did an excellent job. I want to compliment them for taking up that challenge with the hotels. They've established relationship through Grenrob and Miss Teresa Marichaud, and that has gone on very well. And that was an area that I was very pleased to give support to the farmers in. I hope they can continue. We have been training women to dry tomatoes at the Produce Chemist Lab, and their first shipment was sent to Silver Sands because, as we know, dry tomatoes.
Wow.
You'll be surprised that the chefs use that a lot.
Yeah.
Because tomatoes, once they declare, as the old people say, they start getting ripe, and very soon they're no good. And so, by extension, a number of fruits and vegetables are similar, so that we have to find ways to preserve them and make them tasty, maybe in a different way, so that they can still be bought. So that was one of the things we did. We trained some women in the production of that, and they were able to sell their produce recently. And so I know they're anxiously awaiting the little money. They're waiting the little money. We capitalizing now on the damsel season because it's right in now, and we have gotten quite a bit so that we can start preserving it again in a tasty manner for the local market and for the tourism market. We've done golden apples, we've done dried mangoes, and all of those have come out very, very, very well. So we're looking at the marketing side of it now, fine-tuning our labeling. We've gotten our sealants, we've gotten our bits and pieces. They've been trained by the Bureau of Standards. They've been trained by the Ministry of Agriculture. And the very chef from Silver Sands came to supervise them at the Grenada Produce Chemist Lab, so to ensure that the standards and the quality could be kept. So that is another way that tourism is benefiting locals. We've trained some people from Duquesne Bay. They're just wrapping up their training because Duquesne Bay is one of the areas that has a number of where people say Carib face,
petroglyphs,
but it's petroglyphs. And we at the Ministry of Tourism, we're organizing a petroglyph tour because there are some people who come to see the history of or the heritage of countries. So in St. George's, starting at our national stadium, we have one such heritage remains of what the China. There is one right there.
Yes. Between the two stadiums.
We have fixed. That's right. We have a location there where we fixed that. All the way up Grand Mall, there are some. Then yes, there are some there. When you drive, you'll see signs, a brownish with white writing that says their petroglyph side there at Victoria. Just as you enter Victoria, there are some right close to the bridge.
Yeah,
both left and right. You will see signs at Waltham and at Duquesne Bay and at Mount Ridge. You have a wealth of petroglyphs.
They're supposed to be
in Union by the police station. That's correct. So we are organizing a tour. We're working with the various groups. We have trained those at Duquesne to replicate the design on the petroglyph. So they've been trained in that, and so that they can put that design on anything they do. T-shirts, little summer dresses, whatever they do. They've started that training. They have the finishing to do. They've done ceramics. They concluded this Tuesday. They concluded on the ceramics so that you can buy a little bowl, a little something, a nutmeg made locally in Duquesne, and something that will have the design again on the stone. So these are things that you can teach people to do locally, and of course a lot of these in the case of St. Mark, they will be selling their wares and doing other things right on the Duquesne Bay Beach, which is it's not a grand dance, but it does have its values, and we're looking to develop that area as a tourism attraction site where they're going to be producing local juices, local eats and snacks for visitors alike. As it is now, there are a number of tourists who go looking for the petroglyphs. Now we want to make it organized. We want to make it into a tour as part of the National Petroglyph Trail. But I was just focusing on St. Mark because I think it's important.
And it has a lot in St. Mark. When you look at other areas, you hear more of them in St. Mark.
The chocolate, there are quite a lot of them. And then the chocolate factory is doing its bit to bring in tourists. So I mentioned that we had trained people in the tie-dye and the batik.
Yeah.
And we have a little shop there. We hope to expand and have it fully included into the tour of the chocolate factory. We do have our falls as well. They are a bit of a challenge, and we have been looking at how we get around the challenge so that more people can go to the waterfalls. Because right now you have to be physically fit.
Yeah, especially
you have
that
to
one in Mount
be
Horn.
physically fit. And I've been told that Mount Horn, the last 10, 15 minutes can be a challenge. Yes, I've been told so. But you know what? Some tourists love that. They love the challenge. They love the adventure. So while it may be a deterrent for some, it will be a good challenge for others. So we have the easy ones like the Annandale and so on, and we have the difficult ones. So we're looking at a waterfall package. We have a rum package. So if you like rum, you can go from the south of the island or the southeastern side of the island right up to River and Twine and just taste rum and buy rum.
But as you spoke about that, but Minister, because we actually after 12 already, and stations, hold with us for a couple of minutes, please, because I want to just get this one from Minister. I've been monitoring a lot of what has been taking place in St. Mark Re-Youth. You mentioned the Youth Biz Office. The first one has actually now been opened in St. Mark. And I know you've also had a program there where you personally were getting some of the young people to go and train to go onto the cruise ships and into the cruise industry and so on as well.
That is with the people, the Courtneys.
Yeah.
And so what we did, we facilitated that, and we have been speaking with the cruise ships. We're looking at a more direct way that we can get persons to get onto the cruise ship. The Ministry of Labour has been doing its part, and we are doing our part, and we hope in the not too distant future to have a firm agreement in terms of numbers and in terms of procedure and so on. But people are still going. Only on Monday, I saw one young lady from St. John's. She was going to get her visa because she'd been accepted. And so government does assist people in that way, and maybe something that you can announce. Once they've been accepted and they've gotten their visa, government can advance some monies to them so that they can get the flights to wherever they're supposed to meet with the cruise lines and so on. So in that way, again, we are facilitating the whole tourism industry and what goes on there.
And Minister, before you leave, there's at least one thing I want you to clear up. I know you cleared it up on another station. That was the issue of the medical center in St. Mark. There was an individual making claims that there's no medication, there's nothing in the health center. I mean, some people make the thing sound so dramatic, and so when I heard it, I said, no, never in St. Mark. No, not in any place, but especially not in St. Mark. You did call back to that program afterwards and clear it up, but just for those listeners that may have missed that.
I did. When I wasn't listening to the radio station, but I called in to congratulate the people at the Chelsea Flower Show. And it so turned out that somebody said to me, look, you called right after somebody from St. Mark complained. So I thought, oh my goodness, it would sound insensitive. Here I am speaking after somebody who had a complaint and speaking about something completely different and not seeming to care about that issue. So I was happy that I was informed about it. I called the medical station immediately, because just last week we had some persons from the Ministry of Works visit with people from my office to look at some of the infrastructural works that has to be done there, because it does need an upgrade. And they were looking at it to see exactly what needed to be done and how it could be done, and to put some costing to it as well. We've done it before, but it was not concluded, so we've returned to address that issue. And so I called the nurse there and I said, well, what is the situation and how can I help? And she said, well, Minister, well, the only thing I know is a different type of tape that is being used. We all are accustomed to the sort of cloth tape that really sticks and pulls all the hair from your skin. And they use that sometimes still. But there are other types of tape now. Some feel like paper, some you can easily tear, and so on, little plasticky, that are not so adhesive to skin and so on, or adherent to skin. And that is what they had. So she said, but we have tape. We didn't have the other kind. Apparently, the person wanted that type of tape. And that is what caused the concern. But the person generalized, unfortunately, to say that there are no supplies, which I know pretty much that the basic supplies are there. But once in a while, you can have shortage. And so I try to listen when people make a comment or a complaint, because I think it's my responsibility, it's our responsibility, although not directly. There are persons who work with government who are responsible. But in case there's a shortfall, we have to come in and ensure that the basic health facilities and supplies are provided for our people. So happily, there wasn't a concern at that time. I did announce that I was going to be in my office yesterday, which I was, and nobody came to complain about it. So I guess the situation is resolved. Okay. And I want to assure the caller that, and I don't know who it is, I didn't want to know. I want to assure the caller that this tape works better. Yeah. It works well. So sometimes we have difficulty in accepting change, but that one is a good change.
All right. Minister, any final words to the people of St. Mark and the people of Grenada? We've got a lot of information there. Yeah. I know my good friend Andre is listening.
I know.
And my good friend Cello listening as well.
I just want to say that this is a good time for Grenada in terms of tourism and economic activity to be generated wherever you are in this tri-island state. And I want to specify, as I talk about St. Mark, I want to specify Carriacou and Petit Martinique. They too can play a role, because not so long ago I had a meeting there and they said, well, tourism not bothering with us. They felt that they were being left out. And so we tried to be even more conscious of total inclusion. So we brought in a consultant recently to look at what we had and how we could best use it, because that consultant had worked with other islands and other destinations. And just to say it's a good time, we'll be coming, we can provide assistance in terms of guidance, what to do, where to go, how to do it, and we'll be coming. But in case we don't come to you as fast as you want to, then give us a call at the Ministry of Tourism, at the Tourism Authority. And if you're in St. Mark, come to my office on every other Wednesday. I go and office sit one Wednesday, and I try to go out the next Wednesday. Otherwise, there are some people you will never get to see because they don't come to the office. So that's it. But it's a good time for us. Let's get in, dig our thumbs in. There are simple things we can do to enhance the tourism industry and your pockets.
All right. We'd like to thank the Minister for taking time out of an extremely busy schedule to be here with us, because tourism is not just only during the tourism season. During the tourism season is the action part. You have to actually put everything in place. And, well, Grenada, we always have planes coming in with people coming in. We have the carnival season coming up. And immediately after that, the cruise season. So you're always extremely busy. And
Year-round.
You engage with the most people on the island are engaged by some form of format.
Very
Even
true.
if you're in Huggins or you're in Hubbards or wherever, you're still engaged in a form of format with the tourism industry. So we'd like to congratulate you on the excellent job that you have been doing, Minister. And we know the people of St. Mark are extremely proud of you. And they continue to be extremely proud of you. And I think I see one or two of your children and them graduating on Saturday as well from St. George University.
From St. George
University.
I have a degree on my hands to deal with. Yeah. Very nice.
St. Mark have more degrees than 10 thermometer.
I know.
So I'd like to congratulate you on that as well. Folks, that's all the time we have for Hard Talk today. We've had in studio with us the wonderful, the beautiful MP for the constituency of St. Mark and our Honorable Minister of Tourism, the Honorable Dr. Clarice Modest Kerwin. And she has been speaking about everything from airlift to local facilities for people, to community tourism. And folks, you have an old thing they used to say, tourism is everybody's business. Yeah, that still goes, eh? In pure Grenada, tourism is everybody's business. That's all the time we have for Hard Talk today. It's been wonderful being here with you, and everything you say and do, keep it safe and secure. We want to be speaking to and with you and not about you.
Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new national party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.
Every summer, the Spice Island of Grenada is transformed into the Caribbean's biggest party, Spice Man. Come experience the warmth of our people, trending theme fats, the revelry, the pageantry, and why we are the Jab Nation. The Kids Our Future shines on August 3rd in the Children's Carnival Frolic and the Junior Calypso Show. 7 beauties take center stage as the Queen of Carnival is crowned on majestic Thursday, August 8th. The prestigious Soca and Groovy Monarchs are crowned on Carnival Friday night, August 9th. Enjoy the pulsating rhythms of the Still Pan at the Junior and the Senior Panorama on Carnival Saturday, August 10th, and Real Steel, August 17th. The March Gras crowns the Calypso Monarch on Carnival Sunday, August 11th. 2 days of frolicking in the Caribbean sun kicks off on Monday morning, August 12th, with the biggest Juve in the world, followed by pageant and Monday night mass. The creativity and splendor of our mass parades on the road Carnival Tuesday, August 13th. Join us in the Jab Nation of Grenada, August 8th to 12th for Spice Mass 2019. Many events, one carnival.
Hello, my name is Michaela Williams, winner of the Festival of the Arts Secondary School Solo Pan Competition. And these are my colleagues.
We are members of the Full Comanchero Steel Orchestra, your current panorama champions.
Having won 3 of the last full panorama competitions in Spice Mass.
We are inviting you to Spice Mass 2019, especially Junior and Senior Panorama, at the National Stadium on Saturday, 10th August 2019.
Come and enjoy the experience, the excitement, and the skills of the players of the various steel orchestra. Suzuki Pan Wizards,
Republic Bank Interlaps,
New Dimension,
Panacea,
Melody Warriors,
Rainbow City All-Stars, Grand Roy Pan Angels, Digital Florida All-Stars,
and of course, Flow Comancheros.
After Panorama, you can join us on the road for Juve and Parade of the Bands on Monday the 12th and Tuesday the 13th of August.
Spice Mass 2019. Don't miss it.
I really love it. 2018 was great. 2019, this will be epic. This is me, Scholar, 2018 Calypso Monarch of Grenada, and I'm inviting one and all to come down to Grenada for Spice Mass, the greatest, biggest festival in all of the world. I'm inviting you to the March Gras, where I will be chasing after history. This year, the March Gras, this will be the greatest March Gras of all the March Gras. All the bards will be coming.
I want to tell Mr. Killer, come over, the message to lava, come over.
Man, if you want to win the monarchy, do head reduction surgery. They talk going around the tongue. Your head too big for the crown.
So listen to what I say.
Forget police CCJ.
So what are you waiting for? Just book your ticket and come down. Last carnival was real bacchanal, and this year going to be the mother of all. The boom boom going to ring, heart is going to sing. Pam pam. Big up precise.
low-income housing on the way. Details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news for Wednesday, May 22nd, I am Rakisha St. Louis. A boost to the housing stock in St. John with the planned construction of low-income housing units in the parish. 2 sites have already been located and visits were recently made. Public Relations Officer for the Ministry of Social Development, Housing and Community Empowerment, Delroy Louison, reports.
Parliamentary representative for the St. John constituency, Honorable Alvin Dabrio, says a low-income housing project is long overdue for his parish. The MP, accompanied by his colleague, Housing Minister, the Honorable Delma Thomas, and officials from the Housing Authority, recently visited 2 sites in 2 different villages for the proposed project. They include Power Park in the Black Bay area and Stony Gut in Guelph St. John. Presently, St. John is the only parish without a housing project, and the MP says this will soon be a thing of the past. According to MP Dabrio, as opposed to having 1 project in the parish, the pie will be sliced, utilizing both areas identified for the units, which will cater to both the northern and southern ends of St. John.
Today is a very happy day for me. It comes after many years, as the Minister for Housing says, of clamoring and fighting so that at least we in St. John's would see the benefit of having a housing scheme, because we are the only parish or constituency that have not been the beneficiary of a housing scheme, so that we have great need for housing in this constituency. So the start of 20 units in Guelph and 10 units in Black Bay for the south of the constituents is a very good start.
According to the parliamentary representative, this is the first phase of the project, and he will be working towards further enhancing the housing stock in the parish.
We are able to at least try to help people do minor repairs and so, but at least at this time we would be able to have a whole house, so some people that really need it would get it. And as I say, this is the first phase. I will not be resting after this until we have at least 100 units in St. John's.
Housing Minister the Honorable Delma Thomas says work will soon begin on the housing project.
The Housing Authority will have to take up from it, so we'll have to give them all the plans and all that, and they already have the money. So money is not an issue. The issue is drawing the plan, getting approval from planning. Those processes may take a little time, not too much of time, because I believe we have to push to get it going forward. As I said sometime before, I'm hoping to see the sword turning ceremony before the end of the year. So I'm hoping that and pushing that everything will happen before the end of the year, and we could see the sword turning ceremony and boots on the ground, so that the people of St. John's can be happy and their parliamentary representative will also be happy, and therefore we will have an ease at the level of the cabinet.
Over $1 million EC dollars has been secured for the project, which will be constructed by the Housing Authority of Grenada. For the National Report, I'm Delroy Louison.
Thank you, Delroy. Grenada's Prime Minister says Caribbean leaders are prepared to take the lead on the politics, economics, and impacts of climate change, taking their concerns into the halls of power, whether in New York, Washington, London, Brussels, Berlin, Moscow, Delhi, or Beijing. In an article published on CNN's website, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell adds that the Caribbean will lead on setting targets that are in line with a safer planet, in line with the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change 1.5 degrees Celsius report published last year and the recently published. For us in the islands, Dr. Mitchell says climate change is indeed an existential threat, and now is the time for cool heads, wise heads to build a better future for this generation and generations to come. The article states that during this year's UN Climate Summit in September, leaders from the Caribbean will be sure to present goals and ideas of how to tackle this crisis. September, his article adds, will be the time for governments to come with a strategy to the UN Climate Summit. This strategy must include a way to peak global emissions by 2020, to avoid overshoot of the 1.5 degrees Celsius target, to reduce emissions by 50% by 2030, and to reach net zero emissions by 2050. Dr. Mitchell says our message to our fellow leaders is simple. Come to New York with a plan to raise your target. This is the National Report. We'll have more news after the break.
The world's debt is 184 trillion US dollars. That's about 86,000 US dollars per person. Join Linda Tessar, the Central Bank of Barbados 2019 Distinguished Visiting Fellow for the 6th edition of the Caribbean Economic Forum, as she helps us understand just how in a world of rising debt, we in the Caribbean can stay afloat. Follow this important live broadcast of the 6th Caribbean Economic Forum on social media and on radio and television in Barbados and across the region. Thursday, May 23rd at 8 p.m., 7 p.m. in Jamaica. Visit www.centralbank.org.bb for more information.
Welcome back. Grenada is participating in the inaugural Caribbean Youth Forum on Drug Use Prevention in Barbados, organized by the Inter-American Drug Abuse Control Commission. The forum is geared towards promoting youth leadership in the drug demand reduction. It engages youth leaders in the 18 to 25 age group in seminars and assignments to strategize measures that can be implemented within schools and communities to reduce drug use. Head of the Drug Control Unit, Dave Alexander, says the forum will be done in 3 phases.
They would be involved primarily to prepare for the major forum in October 2019. So there are a number of assignments that they would have to complete as part of this first phase. Also, they would be divided into various groups, and each group would be headed by a team leader who would be responsible for conducting various aspects of that major forum in October 2019.
Grenada's Youth Ambassador Alternate, Joshua St. Bernard, will collaborate with his colleagues at the end of the 3-day forum to formulate the national project.
The ultimate goal on his return will be to meet with the other team of persons that we would have put together to work on the Grenada leg, which will be Miss Melissa Forrester, Miss Kadina Noel, Mr. Jason Clark, and himself, Mr. Joshua St. Bernard, who will make up a team of 4 persons, both Carriacou Youth Ambassadors and Carriacou Youth Ambassadors alternates, who will then work on an action plan and proposal as it relates to coming up with a project that will address the use of drugs among our young people in Grenada that will then be implemented throughout the state of Grenada.
That was Youth Coordinator Royden B. Harry. The Ministries of Education and Youth Development will lend support to the Grenada team to meet the October deadline for project implementation. Alexander says the project will be low cost, which will require no funding.
It's not a large-scale project. It's something that we just implemented within a few days or a couple of weeks. Okay, low budget, low cost. It's not anything that would involve significant funding. It will be activities that could be conducted, as I said, with very little funding, and in some cases possibly no funding, or within existing projects that are being implemented in the communities.
Finally, Grenada has used the observance of International Day for Biological Diversity on Wednesday to raise awareness on the subject of biodiversity. This day is celebrated under the theme, Our Biodiversity, Our Food, Our Health. Biological diversity is seen as vital for human health and well-being. Minister with responsibility for disaster management and information, Senator the Honorable Dr. Winston Garwe, planted a mangrove tree to show his support for Biological Diversity Flagship Day. Head of the Environment Division in the Ministry of Climate Resilience, Aria St. Louis, who visited popular mangrove area Woburn Lookout, says that she is delighted to also raise awareness on biodiversity in Grenada.
Biological diversity means simply the plants and animals on the planet. The theme for this year centers on biodiversity or food or health. And what they have chosen to highlight is the importance of plants that we eat and animals that we eat and how that affects our health. The more we take care of the plants and animals on the planet and the ecosystems that they belong to, is the better quality and higher nutritional value of the food that we will have putting into our bodies, and from that, building and repair of muscles, mental acuity will all be increased. So what has been recognized and what they wanted to highlight today was the link between biological diversity in the plants and animals that we depend upon for our food security.
Mangroves are now highly recognized to perform specific tasks for the ecosystem.
In addition to the fact that they are important nursery areas for us, for economically important fish species, they also are key in filtering a lot of the land-based pollutants that come off from agricultural practices that are unsustainable, loss of topsoil. All that is collected in the mangrove areas. They're important sinks for carbon, so they help us in the resilience thrust so that the islands can also contribute towards reduction in greenhouse gas emissions.
That story just ended the national report for today, Wednesday, May 22nd. Let's recap the top story. More low-income housing on the way. On behalf of the entire news team here at the Government Information Service, I am Rakisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.